Welcome back, Summoners. We are in the Ember Scorch League, going into the draft phase here quite quickly. I am your host for the evening, Korak, joined today by Mr. Isaac Cass.
Welcome in, everybody, and we are excited to bring you this series tonight between Spire and El Barrio.
This is going to be a Emerald with a D4 cap as far as the range for rankings. If you haven't been keeping up with it, it's going to be a best of three. And of course, it's going to be fearless going forward. I believe we're only in the group phase. We haven't even hit the playoffs just quite yet. So a lot of games to get through. Any predictions so far before we get into the draft phase? I haven't seen a crazy amount from Spaghetti Spire. I do enjoy the name, but El Barrio put in a pretty good performance last time I was on here.
It's a matchup between two teams that have both won their first series. Arguably, El Barrio may not have had as strong of a matchups the first 2 weeks, considering that they played TPO Vixens and Mintgom, who are both currently winless. Out of the first 2 weeks, in the case of TPO, they have played 3 matches so far, or 0-3. So there's arguably that to be said about them, but Spaghetti Spire themselves have also started strong, so I think this might be a pretty good litmus test for these two teams as to where they are about in rankings.
Taking a list, sort of looking at who is who, just going from top to bottom. It looks like, let me pop this up. Here we go on my end. Spaghetti Fire, Spire, words are hard, has moonshots. I believe that's Alvis. And I think that is Pineaholic. Fantastic. Scapegoat and Wormtongue. Blast back to Lord of the Rings right there. And
Yeah.
fellow Barrio. You wanna go down our list for Barrio so far?
Now, meanwhile, on the side of El Barrio, going from top to bot, we have Antes, Lima, Tin, KTL, Slayer, and Supporta lining up for El Barrio. El Barrio as well, thing to be noted about them is that they, at least their coach mentioned that they're struggling to find a little bit consistency in terms of the lineup and availability. But this week around, they should have their full starting roster. So that is great to see, especially for a broadcast game. And speaking of which, we should be getting into the draft right about now to come out between these ones. And for the side of Spaghetti Spire, or I guess El Barrio, in terms of bands that I'm excited to see out of them, Spaghetti Spire have faced both Belveth and Aatrox bands in both series in every game in both series that they've played so far. So I should suspect we'll see Moonshot and Olves having that target on their back in draft.
And it looks like it's going to be Ivarn for our first ban so far. That doesn't really surprise me. I've seen a couple of games where Mord just kind of walks his way through into the back line with that massive shield, especially mid to late game. So I don't really blame them for that ban. Looks like it's going to be followed up there by a Rumble. Also not a real surprise with that ban either. Especially if you've got a high CC, and then we've seen Rumble with J4 be a pretty classic combo. Their ults just work quite nicely together, so none of those are real surprising so far, just quite. Nothing weird. Do you have any predictions on what you think El Barrio is going to ban here?
As I said before, if it's in line with what Spaghetti Spire's previous opponents have done, I should suspect that the next two bans will be both the Belveth and the Aatrox. Plus, at the Rumble ban, it does look like there's going to be a bit of targeting towards Moonshot's champ pool as well. And I did like the mention of the Rumble J4 combination. It does eliminate that, and Olves is very much a driven player.
And Yone for our next ban, still nothing real surprising. Followed into the virus ban by Albaro. So I'm still trying to figure out what's looks like so far. They're just sort of reactionary picks so far, like you were talking about before. I still don't know how I feel personally about the virus ban. I'm not a massive fan of him, but I know he can put a lot of work. And it looks like it's going to be followed up there by a Poppy ban immediately afterwards.
Varus is not a bad first pick. I think you're on red side to just take away a generally strong ADC at this point in time. Never hurts. But the two bans that that Spaghetti Spire have been facing the first 2 weeks are still available, but they will go for that B1 Jinx.
Jinx indeed for the first pick. Other ban there looks like it's going to be Zach. Everything seems to be so standard, at least on my end. Followed into Zeri. So Zeri into Jinx for bot lane.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot of hypercarry potential coming out from El Barrio. But Zeri, at least recently, haven't seen a lot of like necessarily. It's pretty easily punishable in the early game, and well, the follow up with the Lulu to just help that extra damage from the hypercarry as well, keep them alive a little bit longer. Personally, I haven't seen too much from Zeri that I've been super impressed by, so taking it this early in the series, I guess maybe if you want to take it away, or I guess if Slayer's play has developed an affinity for it, I guess, but just a little bit surprised there with the quick Zeri Lulu lock-in for El Barrio.
Followed into Nautilus. So Nautilus Jinx bottom into, like you were saying before, Lulu and Zeri. And I do think I agree with you sort of on that notion where I feel like Zeri's sort of in a weird spot right now. I don't think she's particularly bad, but I feel like there's a lot of better choices. She can still put in a lot of work, especially if you've got someone on the helm who is got really great mechanics control. I think that'll be extremely important. And it looks like so far we're going to get our mid picks. At least I'm assuming these are going to be our mids. We're going to get Talia into Akali.
I think it's a bit odd to pick Akali into Talia. I mean, any sort of dashes into Talia becomes particularly difficult, especially if they're really aggressive. I mean, I guess if you can wait it out, then it's fine. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it is also a potential flex pick if you want to send that top as well. Maybe it is the extra value you can get from Akali, but picking up Akali right now, especially into that Talia actively, is a bit of a strange call in my opinion.
Well, and El Barrio might be cooking up something, a pre-developed strategy. Hopefully they haven't been interrupted too much by the bans. Speaking of, Spaghetti Spire did ban out Sejuani, still not real surprising. Followed into Orange, so Orange and Sejuani banning out the jungle and the top and trying to keep that front line off of you. Good call there. Trundle being another ban once again, and I feel like Trundle has a lot of punching power right now. In the current meta, I've seen a lot of work been done by him. Not as much in these competitive team fight mechanics, but just sort of in general. So I'm curious how that's going to translate over here. And then the final ban is going to be Vi. So they don't want to deal with the Vi from Spaghetti Spire.
I think the Vi is a pretty obvious takeaway without jungles being selected with that Talia. It's so easy to layer all of Vi CC with the seismic shove and the differing damage profiles. Wow, between the two of them, makes it all that much stronger, especially in the early to mid game. But Xin Zhao will be the choice from El Barrio as the jungler blind, which I think is fine.
He's usually a pretty solid pick, and we've seen him time and time again. So still, looks like everybody's playing their cards close to their chest. There's going to be Aatrox, still nothing weird. I think, like you said, so far the weirdest we've seen is Zeri, and then specifically Akali into Talia, but maybe her goal is to try to get some roaming off, or maybe she's just going to try and give up on that early laning phase. But even then, because how well Talia does into all those dashes, I think it's going to be pretty painful, especially with the Zeri as well. Followed up, looks like Spaghetti Spire is going to round out with a Mumu for their jungle.
Yeah, a Mumu, I mean, extremely strong team fighter, Curse of the Sad Mummy. If you can lock up multiple members, especially with how short-ranged El Barrio's composition is at the moment. I think this Amumu, while typically Amumu is synonymous with, the bandage toss in presses R, gets 5 stuns, and wins the fight. I do actually like this as a bit of a more potentially defensive option with how much El Barrio's composition wants to run at you and just how much it just has to with how short range it is. I think Spaghetti Spire has a lot of tools to just absorb that pressure and then certainly more than enough damage to counterpunch back with Italia with the Jinx. Get Jinx those resets on the back end. I do like what Spaghetti Spire have on their side of draft specifically for this composition. If there is one thing that this Amumu is weak at, though, into Xin Zhao especially, actively picking it there could definitely come back to bite them, since Amumu does struggle early on, especially in 1v1s.
Well, then we've got Cassante in the top lane. You know, so far, I think in this league, I've watched Cassante and Aatrox duke it out a couple of times in top, and it seems to go either direction. But I really don't think maybe Spaghetti Spire more than El Barrio. They might be playing a little bit more for the lane phase, and then into the team fight phase. And then I think El Barrio really wants these picks. I don't think they can fight a crazy amount of sustained fights. They do have Lulu ult, right, which I think pairs well with Akali, with Zen, with Cassante, and her ADC, of course. I think they really want their picks, unless they can get Zen to absorb so much damage. But that's going to be hard because there's going to be so much CC and so many knockups between Amumu. You know, like obviously the engagement is probably going to start most of the time with the jungles, I would imagine, unless Cassante is able to get something off. Or unless Akali can get a pick. I don't think the pick potential is as high on Spaghetti Spire, though. I think that could make a bit of difference. And then blue side for the objectives, I think Spaghetti is in a pretty good position to grab these early objectives. You know, grubs, potentially Shelly, maybe a dragon or two. But I think that'll also depend on obviously the bot prio as well.
People just have to wait and see how that goes down. But I mean, I just want to circle back to mostly the jungle, because I think this is probably where it will be decided if Xin Zhao can find these early invades, and if Xin Zhao can put this moving behind to where it basically becomes irrelevant. Should definitely be like the point of focus, I'm guessing. But it also might be a bit hard to do as well, especially since you know, Talia with the ranged into melee matchup. Unless if there's some really bad trades on the side of Pythonaholic, I imagine Talia should be able to sustain a push for a long period of time. But again, that's all just in the hypotheticals. We have to wait until we get into the game, which I believe we should be loading into any second now. So there we go.
And here we are, Summoners, finally into the action. The gates are about to come down. Are we going to see an early invade? I don't think El Barrio really wants to. They can 5-stack. It looks like indeed Spaghetti Spire has already grouped up as a 5 and are positioning for top lane or top jungle. They are in a good setup for it so far. If we're looking at the minimap, it looks like both Lulu and Zeri sent themselves all the way over to the bottom, and it's going to be a more traditional defend with Cassante and mid. It does look like they are finally going to rotate, get a little bit closer, but that won't give them enough time if they're able to get the Cassante. Cassante did not ward in advance, and he could end up getting taken out here early. He's got to watch out for Nautilus. He's going to walk his way forward. There's going to be the flash already blown there for top. They may not have been able to get a kill just quite yet, but using that flash on Cassante means he's going to be more vulnerable to these ganks. A couple of good placed wards did manage to push them out, and no real actions so far other than the burning of that flash. And it looks like we're going to trade wards in both sides of the jungle. Zeri putting it down inside of Mumu's jungle.
Yeah, but it does. Excuse me, chest is kind of. It does mean that there's a very big target on the back of Anti's Lima here in the top lane. I mean, Cassante does only have the one dash early on. At the very least, it does also cancel CC. So there is definitely like a way out for this Cassante should move top side. As you mentioned, there will be knowledge for the side of El Barrio, as KTL takes a really good trade there. The advantage on the side of El Barrio in terms of knowledge and where this Amumu is, which is important. But
Ooh, good
Wormtongue,
hook there by Nautilus. Nautilus grabbing the ADC. ADC going down to about half HP. Zeri's got to watch out for it. That was a real clean hook there from Nautilus.
yeah, Wormtongue just making their presence known early on. You know, whispering into the air, saying like, "I can take you down at any moment." Obviously, pre like level 2, pre-level 2. Not the most insane kill for the Super Final Hall. It needs to be really careful.
Flashing forward, getting first blood and managing to go mob up the farm as well. Amumu not in a good enough position really to do much about it, which means Akali's going to be able to get farm and a kill there. That's going to be really unfortunate. Nautilus missing his hook there on Zeri. That would have been great for them to grab. Jinx was in a good position there for it, but they weren't able to get it just in time. Lulu dodging the stun there from, or I guess I should say the slow there from Jinx.
Okay, I apologize to KTL. I was a bit unsure about the Akali pick, especially into into the Talia. I wasn't aware of their game. I'll just put it that way. Not familiar, and well, it turns out it pays out massively for the side of El Barrio early on.
KTL grabbing that dark seal early on. Maybe that's going to be a omen of things to come. That would be nice for Akali if they can get a whole bunch off, because Akali has a lot of really good kill potential, and I feel like they can match Aatrox as far as just being an absolute devastating creature. Both jungles have rotated. Amumu is still going to continue his way forward, going to try to get on that Cassante. And indeed, he's going to get the grab just as quickly, going down to about half HP Cassante, and it looks like the other top have really got to watch out for it, but so much damage is being dealt to Cassante. Amumu going to go down, but it looks like it's also going to bait the Aatrox in as well. Aatrox is going to flash, and he's going to get destroyed there by Zen. Zen mopping up a kill, grabbing 2 this early in the game. That's going to be a 0-3 lead for El Barrio.
Really good from Tin to just separate both Olves and Moonshot from each other, effectively turning that into 2 separate 2v1s. And with that on top of the kill in the mid lane means it's a very early claim of the feats of warfare for the side of El Barrio. Does allow them to give up a little bit more pressure for those feats of strength. Yeah, they only need either the first tower or the first 3 objectives to claim those fancy boots there, and just gives them a few more options on these upcoming objectives on whether or not they necessarily want to take a fight or not.
Taking a look at CS so far, Aatrox has been a good leg ahead of Cassante when we're looking at that farm back and forward, but that additional assist gold, I think, will really tip the scale in Cassante's favor. Aatrox has got to sort of climb his way back up the CSing mountain here. That Amumu gank, unfortunately, turned out quite poorly for him. Making his lane a little bit harder, but at the very least, Cassante didn't pick up those kills, which he's one of those champions where he can be an absolute monster, even without kills. So once you give him kills, it's even crazier. Not that Zen can't be, but I think I'd rather have a fed Zen over a fed Cassante. Not that that's not scary, but I feel like I'm a little bit more afraid of the ultra-fed Cassante.
Oh, it also gave Auntie's Lima this early Bramble Vest to really cut out the sustain from Moonshot. It really allows Auntie's Lima to go for these really aggressive trades. So you see right there, doesn't have to worry about Moonshot getting a really good back end of that trade to just say, nah, I'm fine health-wise. And so, yeah, that's going to have certainly big effects in this lane, especially Auntie's Lima has hit level 6, does have the ability to go all out and get that extra damage onto Moonshot, who's still, from those kills earlier, yet to be able to get access to that world ender. Well, of course, as soon as I say that.
Talia's finally getting some decent trades on Akali, but Akali's decided to rotate over for Dragon, and I don't blame them. They do have Prio, and grabbing that Green Drake, I think would be pretty strong in this early game, especially into who they're against to. It would definitely help Cassante. He does have that Bramble Vest, and then adding a little bit of regen on top of that, I feel like would make a bit of difference as well.
I mean, first Drakes usually not necessarily all that influential in terms of champion strength. But what it does do, again, especially with those feats of warfare getting picked up early by El Barrio, is that now the Spaghetti Spire, it becomes much more difficult for them to just concede objectives and just say, okay, we'll give this one up, because now, I mean, El Barrio, only those grubs and a second Drake away from the full-on feats and those upgraded boots. That, or if they give up just one objective, the Rift Herald as well. So the Spaghetti Spire is certainly just, even though the gold lead sits at about 1k, which is significant, just under 8 minutes in, it allows El Barrio that ability to utilize it far more effectively than just what a straight up 1k gold lead would otherwise do.
Moonshot having to be a little bit more cautious than I normally see him in top lane. That Bramble Vest really having a profound effect on the fight. It looks like grubs are going to be spawned. And once again, El Barrio is in a good position to grab it. I don't think Kali needs to rotate because Amumu's nowhere near. And they do have a couple of wards set up for it, which means, once again, it's going to be another free objective for them. They were able to get a Chemtrake earlier, uncontested. And now if we dive into the CS, Aatrox is still just a little bit of ahead for top lane. Mumu is a little bit ahead, but behind on kills for sure. And it looks like Akali has the biggest lead from what I can tell. It looks like it's just a little over 20 CS or so in the center, which is still a little surprising even with that one kill. She was having a harder time into Talia when we were checking in on her previously. But I really want to see how Akali's going to use that gold. She needs to take advantage of that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, KTL definitely doing really well in this 1v1 so far. Even as you mentioned, with the extra gold from that kill, giving them a little bit extra power. Still not exactly what you'd expect necessarily the easiest time against this Talia, who, well, to be fair, hasn't really built any sort of ability power for themselves. And this teleport from Anti's Lima,
Aatrox waiting for the TP.
Could be a little bit troublesome.
Gonna pop his way onto Cassante, waiting for the jungle to pop its way in. There's gonna be the grab there for Mumu. Mumu going for Cassante. They're gonna follow it up by an ult, and he takes him down to about half HP, but Zen's here right on time. Can they kill Cassante before anything can really happen? And no, they're not able to get it whatsoever. Once again, Zen's turned things around, but no, Moon's not done. He's gonna knock out the jungle just as quickly. And then all that's left is going to be, the jungle. He was going to knock out Cassante. Aatrox getting 2 kills and a shutdown, dominating the top lane and the jungle.
Oh my goodness. That was really well played by Moonshot. I thought when I saw this 10 coming around for that counter gank, I thought for sure it was going to be over for this 2v2. But it was really good targeting to get rid of that Cassante first, to get rid of the anti-healing, to allow Moonshot to use the World Ender to its full potential to heal right back up. And as soon as that happened, there was just really nothing Tin could do to out-sustain, to out-fight Moonshot in any sort of capacity as it went on. And so Moonshot now sitting with 2 kills under their belt, up 10 CS. This could very quickly get out of hand if Moonshot does get this recall off before Anti's Lima does anything about it.
Gotta be really careful here. He's so close to going down, but he's trying everything he can to bait out the fight into that tower, which he should be able to turn around there. But that Thornmail is going to have a pretty profound impact on Aatrox, kills or no kills. Already having that out of the gate is going to be something hard to deal with. Aatrox, if he does a little bit of roaming or maybe gets some free trades off in top, can really turn that around. Ooh, Talia's got to watch out for it. She goes down to about 30%. She has to flash, and so followed by Akali. Akali going to get her, but she's going to go down, I believe, to the tower. There's going to be a suicide there in the middle lane, 1-for-1, and Aatrox actually mopping up Cassante, getting another kill in top lane.
All over the place across the map, but importantly, for the Spaghetti Spire, Moonshot really showing how much strength they have on this Cassante, finishing that Black Cleaver, removing just that extra amount of armor that this Cassante has. And with all that extra gold, really using it to its full potential there, getting that solo kill, and it will be the Spaghetti Spire opting to move on to the second Drake for now. They do basically have to get this one. If it's stolen, it will mean, hold on, we've got a fight coming through.
There it is. He's going to pop his way over the wall, but Mumu's waiting for it. Going to dash onto him just as quickly. The Drake is in danger of being taken out, but so is Zen. Zen going down so far. There it is. He's going to get the smite. That's exactly what he wants. It looks like the fight could still go either way, but it's not going to favor Spaghetti Spire. They're going to fall just as quickly. Aatrox getting polymorphed over there, but can he mop things up? Lulu blinking, Zeri blinking away there for the end, trying to go for the Amumu going down there at the end. Aatrox trying to mop up a couple kills. Lulu slowing down the Aatrox, but it doesn't matter as Akali goes down. That's going to be a 4-1 Aatrox. Isn't about to be a 5-1 Aatrox going for the Lulu. He's just not able to get it. And chat said it just quite right. Yikes. Who fed that Aatrox?
Yeah, Moonshot doing quite all right for themselves. Honestly, I would have... Oh, wait, Slayer has been in trouble, perhaps?
He's going to go for the ADC. Is it going to be enough? Lulu might actually steal the kill, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a bit necessary to get that kill, but killing the Zarya under their tower as well, picking up that extra gold. I will say, though, if there is one complaint I had from Spaghetti Spire in that fight, is that Olves turned a bit too late, perhaps. Or not too late, too early. To try to take that fight, it left the Drake at a very low health, and that just allowed Tin to walk straight up to the Drake. Basically ignored the fight, and even though it did lose them the fight to some extent, it did allow them to pick up the feats of strength there, claiming that third objective, the first two Drakes and the oh wait, the Chomper's
Lulu getting pinched here, maybe.
Yeah, but it does be. Of course, they're saying that bottom. KTL.
Oh, looks like KTL's going to get grabbed there by the Nautilus. Nautilus is going to here to soak up a good chunk of the damage. He's going to get about half HP. Going to go down to 10%. And he's going to melt right before our eyes.
So they're going to be picking up the kill this time around, getting that extra gold under their belts. As El Barrio now since about 1.5k up. But Antis Lima going to go all out. Got to fight the top lane.
Aatrox should come out on top of this. There's going to be a blink backwards. It looks like he's going to try to bait the damage there from the tower. Aatrox is finally going to take it. Is that going to be enough to tip the scales in Cassante's favor? No, it's not, because once again, Aatrox has more kills. Jungle rotating to try and mop up and get a little more kill. Can Aatrox get enough healing off? I don't think he can. Zen able to get some points on the board for his team, but unfortunately that means Cassante has gone down once again.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle for Antis Lima so far. The Moonshot's just in a position to where any sort of 1v1 is theirs to win. However, Tin was there to pick up the kill on back and get themselves that little bit extra stronger. And honestly, Tin's currently in a really strong spot for themselves. That Sundered Sky first item spike for Xin Zhao, definitely a really strong one, allowing them to fight a little bit longer, getting that extra heal and damage out. As KTL hops away there. Slayer, I thought for a second.
Close, threading that needle.
But importantly, wait, we're not done yet.
Ooh, Talia's got to watch out for it. Zen's over here in the background. There's going to be the ult there for Amumu. Amumu trying to mop this up. Talia actually needing a pretty good knockback. Can she turn this around? Zen's about to blow his ult. It's about to be gone just as quickly. No, he does get the kill on Talia. Does he get it on Amumu? Yes, Amumu does go down. Zen destroying them both. Top lane still continuing to duke it out. Cassante thinks that he can fight the Aatrox. Is that true? He's down so much gold there, but he does have that Thorn Melon. So far, he is on top of things, but Aatrox is still not backing off. He's still continuing to do trade after trade. There it is. Aatrox going in. Unfortunately, not in the position that he needs to be, but it can still go either way. Cassante getting so close to going down. Aatrox just one AA away from another kill, and he does manage to get it. A little bit of a tower dive there on Zen, but unfortunately, Zen's got too much healing. He's got too much in his kit to fight that off.
Yeah, the Q3 plus the Infernal Chains going off there with the World Ender available is just so much guaranteed damage for Moonshot that Antis Lima just wasn't quite expecting. I'm not sure what the availability was in terms of the Pathmaker. I'm going to have to assume that it was used early and that Moonshot saw that window to go in, and that's all they needed. But going back to that fight earlier, in the mid lane, 10 doing a really good job of recognizing where their strength lies currently, that it is right now, sitting 6-2 and 4 on those two items. This Xin Zhao will never be stronger and is probably one of, if not the strongest champion on the Rift right now. But Wormtongue going in.
Going to get stunned and hooked. She's got to watch out for it. Nautilus taking a little bit of damage there on the background, but spending his time to knock out another ward. Once again, they do need to watch out there for the Zen, but it looks like the Dragon is going to be the primary target. It's going to go down to about half HP. There's going to be the ult there for Talia. She's going to try to isolate it, and there it is. We're going to get a pretty decent knock up there, but it doesn't matter. Once again, Zen snipes another Dragon over and over again, and I'm not sure where Aatrox is because everybody's getting absolutely decimated. There he is in the background, but it's going to be a 1v5. If anyone can pull it off, it's going to be Aatrox, but the CC is real as Zeri gets a kill on Aatrox.
I mean, it's another great smite from 10, having their focus on the objectives, knowing that with the smite they can claim these. And this time, it's not even really a case of Olves getting too far away. 10 just is quicker on the hands, and Sicko Ghost is just going to go down there.
Just grabbing a kill almost for free in middle.
Yeah, not really much you can do as an 0-1 Jinx into a 7-3 Akali, who is, well, at least at the time, six stacks of the Dark Seal under their belts. This one,
Kasante getting trapped over here in the bottom into Zalia and Nautilus stun and knockback after knockback into CC. This should be enough to take him out. Does he have the dashes? Is he going to be able to get out in time? Is Nautilus able to get a stun? Looks like he is indeed going to get it, and going to follow it up with a hook as well. And Talia gets some much needed gold for their team because they are 6k down compared to El Barrio. Little things like that will make a big difference, but so far Kasante really is the weak link for his team. Not to the best of his ability, but he really has had a hard time. Into the Aatrox almost knocking down Akali, not even seeing her, just predicting where she's going to be. He's going to flash forward, going to go for it, just one AA. Is he going to be able to get it, or is he going to get baited out there by Zen? Zen doesn't have enough power to fight him on his own as Aatrox just absolutely chunks him. There's going to be the Jinx ult, but it's going to miss. Absolutely. Amumu going in for an awesome grab. He's going to get it exactly where he needs it. Aatrox grabbing another kill. No, actually Amumu getting some points on the board. That's exactly what they need, because now there's only a 4k difference between the teams, and Akali needs to be careful or she's going to get grabbed here. Small engagement, maybe happy. No, Kasante actually going for the Aatrox, but Aatrox is not going to be there, giving Amumu time to casually walk out. He's got to run into the Zeri, so this could be unfortunate for him, but it looks like he's going to turn around and go for the Akali. Akali is so close to going down. Once again, Kasante ulted him all the way over there in the background, but still, she's going to get the kill. Akali getting the long-range kill there on the jungle.
Did fight all the while. It did allow Pineaholic to pick up an objective bounty on the bot lane tier 1 tower to help kind of cut that gold deficit down to around 4k. But one thing that is mentioned that I haven't quite gotten to, just with simply how much fighting there has been, was that Drake steal from 10 earlier does put El Barrio on soul points, which basically forces Spaghetti Spire's hand to move to this next Drake in 2 minutes. I mean, you can't really ignore how much value that the Infernal Drake can give with the extra damage with the AoE, but Moonshot's going for this one.
He definitely does have the strength to dive Kasante under the tower. I don't think Kasante has his ult up just quite yet. No, it looks like it's about halfway down, but he doesn't know where the jungle is, so he does have to back off. He's not going to do the tower dive. And dealing with that dragon coming, it looks like it's 1 minute and 30 seconds or so for the next Drake for their soul point, which means Spaghetti Spire needs to fight for this, and it's all going to depend on where Aatrox is. If he's got his TP up. Oh no, Nautilus going to get grabbed here, and he's going to absolutely melt, going to get destroyed before Amumu can even respond.
Yeah, that walking into this Akali and this Xin Zhao with the current state of things, both over 5 kills and not so many deaths, so much gold under their belts. I will also get this Akali up to 10 stacks of the Dark Seal, as well as secure the Otacon for El Barrio. And It's not over quite just yet, but it is certainly a mountain or perhaps a spire to climb for Spaghetti Spire.
Hey. Spaghetti Spire saying, I didn't hear no bell while bleeding profusely on the ground. They can still turn it around, but it looks pretty unlikely. That's going to be a steep hill to, or I guess Spire, we'll go with that, for them to climb for sure. El Barrio proving to be the taller of two peaks. 12 to 21 on the board. And it looks like a couple of towers are going to go down in top and in mid. Dragon cooking its way up, 18 seconds left on the clock. They really need to position. Jinx choosing to stay. That's going to be really unfortunate. Maybe they're just going to give up on it entirely, but I feel like that's going to be a mistake. That's going to be a free soul there for Albario.
Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, 3 members in this top lane. That's absolutely a really hard commitment towards this tower. And as you said, the Infernal Soul at 23 minutes going to be given away. Oh, hold on. Auntie's Lima in trouble.
Cassante, poor guy. He does manage to make it out there. Now he's got the support there from Lulu, blowing a couple of flashes, and there's going to be the Drake there in the background, which means they're going to have Soul Calling going to go for the Talia. Talia just can't do anything. She gets absolutely nuked.
Yeah, and I mean, even though the amount of power that is available to KTL probably wouldn't have mattered if they didn't play it this way, but it was also really good patience from KTL to wait for that seismic shove to be used by Pineaholic, to then use the perfect execution afterwards to know that that's the moment to go and that there's nothing that Pineaholic can do after that point to stop them. Like I said, probably not necessary considering the strength of power these two champs are at currently, but still maximizing the potential that this champion has from KTL, just giving them that little extra more, and all the while scrolling back a little bit earlier to that that soul take. The Spaghetti Spire didn't even get the top tier 2 tower or the kill onto Auntie's Lima for it, and actually they lost the flash from Olves as well. In that fight, it just, you know, again, the game isn't over until the Nexus is destroyed, but it just more and more it's continuing to slide away to the side of El Barrio, and the options are just becoming that more limited for the Spaghetti Spire to find a way back to this one. At the very least, something they can potentially take is this Baron buff, and it is just perhaps slightly a little bit easier to approach from blue side, not having to cross any terrain to get to it, but
the biggest problem, I think, though, is not having the Aatrox, because he's still I know he's got TP, but that's going to take a little bit of time for him to progress his way top. And I don't think they can fight without him, especially with Akali. Akali's got 10 kills. She's 10-3. She has so much gold in the bank. And you've seen her nuking Nautilus, who's a true tank. Even though like he's support and has a little bit less gold than a couple other tanks could have, he's still pretty beefy for what he is. Aatrox actually so far losing this fight. It could still go either way. Aatrox has a lot of health regen, so I think any even trade there with Cassante technically loses even with Thornmail there.
Yeah, it's a bit dire for the Spire. Baron is now up and available. This 4v4 almost certainly goes the way of El Barrio, unless you get like a perfect Curse of the Sad Mummy from Amumu, as well as a perfectly timed early teleport from Moonshot to arrive before Auntie's Lima as well, which, you know, not necessarily impossible per se, but the probability is Slayer goes forward.
Ooh, Slayer still doing a good chunk of damage, but he's going to be grabbed by the Amumu, followed shortly behind the Nautilus. There's going to be a shutdown for Talia. That's going to be some much-needed gold, and Akali actually going to get locked down. She does have to back her way out. So much damage. Zen trying to find his target's going to go for the jungle. Jungle going to go down, but Talia's got to worry about it because she's the only one left. Zeri trying to do everything she can, but Zen just healing so much. Cassante trying to mop things up, and it looks like Aatrox is going for the support over there. Can he buy enough time? Can he get the kill and rotate down to the Cassante? There it is. There's going to be the shutdown there for Lulu. Looks like they they weren't doing too bad into Cassante, but they did finally get knocked down. Aatrox finally coming to the door. There's a debt collector, and his name is Aatrox, and he's knocking on the door. They have to watch out for him everywhere he goes. Akali is going to go for him. This is going to be a 1v3. Does he have enough power for this? He looks like he's got a little bit of stun there. He's got to watch out for it. He's got to get a good amount of regen. We are going to get a little bit of help there from Jinx, but it's not going to be enough as Moonshot goes down.
Just too over ambitious for Moonshot, honestly. I think they did a really good job. The side of the Spaghetti Spire honestly did a really good job to recognize the error from Slayer. Slayer just got way too overconfident, hopping over the wall like that, straight into the face of the Spaghetti Spire. I know they're struggling for damage and for strength at this point in time, but Zeri can't exactly take too much themselves. But I thought it may have been the moment for the Spaghetti Spire, but the back end of the fight, even with Moonshot cutting that in half, still not quite getting too much out of that as well. Moonshot, yeah, just to be honest, that was basically gave the Baron away. I mean, I'm not going to say it gave it away in the sense that it ensured that El Barrio could take that Baron uncontested, especially because Moonshot is all the strength of the Spaghetti Spire's team, and it did stagger their recall timers. Wormtongue in trouble.
Again, another fight is going to begin. Amumu is going to go in. He's going to go for the Zen. Zen's going to barely just get out of the deal, but Zeri did get locked down, but it's not going to matter. It's just so much damage, so much gold is on El Barrio's side. Jinx going to go down. There's going to be a triple kill there for Akali. Not that Akali needed it. Followed into the ace. I didn't even get to see where Aatrox went down. He melted before I even got an opportunity to see what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, 11k gold at this point, and now they push it. That's game one, going to go to the side of El Barrio. It's felt almost inevitable for a while now, but you know, fair play to El Barrio. They kept their heads mostly cool, except for perhaps Slayer for that one moment there. But outside of one, except for one like partial moments of one slight hiccup from El Barrio, they didn't let things get away from them, and you know, just walked away with the convincing win.
And there it is, folks. The first point goes to El Barrio. Once again, for those of you who are just tuning in, this is going to be the Ember Scorch League. We are watching the Spaghetti Spire and El Barrio duking it out. El Barrio did indeed grab that first points. The skill gap or the skill range is about Emerald to Diamond 4 cap. It's a best of 3, so which means Spaghetti Spire really needs to step it up here if they're going to fight into this, because they have to win the next 2 games in order to win the whole thing. And of course, it's going to be fearless. So everyone we've seen means we're not going to see them again going forward, which means Aatrox is now off the table. Curious to see how Moonshot's going to deal with that. I haven't looked into his list too much to figure out who his backups are, but just because we have a list that indicates who they play, at least most recently, doesn't mean that they don't have more cooking up there in the background. And I felt like Aatrox was really going to be able to turn around, but just Zen just put in so much work. And it was a smite after smite steal over and over. I think that made a pretty big impact and just allowed Akali to just mop up so many kills. I think she had like 14 kills there at the end, maybe like 3 or 4 deaths. So she was just a force of nature.
We'll have to wait and see what adjustments Spaghetti Spire make for game 2. But until then, we're going to send it to break. And we'll be back for the game 2 draft when we come back, so don't go anywhere.